Many people seem to believe that China is a threat to New Zealand. We need to form an alliance with the Americans. We need to prepare for conflict. We need to strengthen our military alliances. We need to be ready for war with China. Many people hold these kinds of views. These perspectives are relatively common. It is my view that China is not a threat to New Zealand in any serious sense. China has no interest in attacking New Zealand. They would gain nothing from attacking us. They have 100 issues far closer to home. Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, India, Vietnam, America, Australia, the Philippines. There are countless states that are far closer to China than we are, that have a history of far more antagonistic relations with China. China is not going to attack us. They have far more serious concerns far closer to home. Militarily, strategically, they are tied down, and they will be for a long time to come. The South Pacific is pretty low on their list of priorities. They have a history of significant antagonism with many states that are in far closer proximity to them than we are. China is not a military threat to us. Things can change. The international order is dynamic. The international order is unpredictable. Things can change a lot very quickly. That is the reality. But at present, China is not a serious military threat to us. If we get dragged into a war with China, it will not be because China attacked us. It will be because we are dragged into a war by our defence agreements with Australia and the United States. If we end up involved in war, that will be why. We will be dragged into it by defence obligations. Defence obligations are a dangerous thing. They can drag you into a war, they can make you a target. We must proceed with caution when crafting our security relations with Australia and the United States. And we must aggressively oppose escalation and war. The damage war would do is almost impossible to overstate. It would result in momentous human suffering. It must be avoided at almost every cost. I do not believe in mindless appeasement, but I do think we should be cautious. It is a hypothetical curiosity now, but if ever war broke out, it would be absolutely horrific. We must prevent that from happening. Taiwan should be supported. That does not mean directly defending Taiwan. That does mean making sure Taiwan is well armed to deter a Chinese attack. Ideally, war will not happen, and that means deterrence, not appeasement. China will not attack Taiwan if Taiwan is well armed. Some people may call this an escalation. It is not. It is a continuation of existing policies. Taiwan is already heavily armed with Western weaponry. I support Taiwan. I want them to keep their sovereignty. They are a liberal democracy. They are far superior to the authoritarian Chinese regime. Western states should support them without getting involved in a major war with China. We must engage with this issue in a very rational and reasonable way. We must not let our thoughts be dominated by irrational fears of China. That clouds our judgment. I do not particularly like China. I think we should be wary of China. But we should not mindlessly demonize them. This is not a fight of good versus evil. It is the United States that has overthrown countless governments, attacked many different countries, and killed countless foreign civilians. It is the United States that is arming Israel as it commits mass slaughter in Gaza. It is the United States that is friends with many dictatorial regimes. The USA is not some grand warrior for freedom. That is the unfortunate reality. They have been supporting and arming autocrats for a very long time. Having said that, the USA is still more liberal than China, and we should be wary. We should never assume that China is benevolent. No powerful state is. This is not a matter of mindlessly taking teams. It is about doing what is right and what is rational. Sometimes that means supporting our Western allies. Sometimes that means maintaining some distance and some neutrality. China may not be a military threat, but they are an economic threat. We are heavily reliant on them. They could do huge damage to our economy if they wanted to. This undermines our sovereignty. We must seek to address this dependence. We must diversify our trade. We must diversify our exports. We must pursue export industries that give us more leverage. Being reliant on China is fine, so long as they are also reliant on us. At present, they are not reliant on us, and that is the issue. Interdependence is good. Dependence is not good. At present, we are dependent. We need them a lot more than they need us. They could cut trade, and that possibility undermines our sovereignty. Trade is a strategic issue and should be treated as such. It is not simply an economic issue, it is a strategic issue. We must pursue a foreign policy that is principled and pragmatic, a values-based, rational foreign policy, an independent foreign policy. We must not be the mindless stooge of either side. We must craft our own destiny. Volatile times may lie ahead. We must move forward with caution. We must be ready for a range of potential futures. We must reshape our position in the Pacific. We must become a small yet powerful country. A country with an independent, rational, values-based foreign policy.